Charles Gow from Kingston. Laid back, boring voice. You know how it is.
Veggie chili. You know how it is.
That's what's up.
Eating healthy. You know how it is.
It's a lifestyle, man.
Yeah,
It's a
man.
lifestyle.
It's a choice.
Kids, watch and learn.
It's a choice.
This is how you get dope. Okay, on to the interview now. I have a couple questions. Just like about like your life, your past life in Philly. So I was just wondering how growing up in Philly, like at first I didn't even know you were from Philly, but now that I found out, I was wondering how being in Philly affected you as a dancer. Like how did your childhood, your young life, I don't know when you started breaking, but like how did all of that affect and influence your style as a B-boy?
Well, I'll get down to the gritty details first. I was born in New Jersey. I really grew up in New Jersey, if you would say, because
Okay.
I was there because I didn't start breaking until like I was 15, right? So I'd say 14, 15, because it kind of like was little things here and there I would mess with. And I was popping mostly first, you know what I mean? I wasn't into breaking yet. I first saw it in New York. I grew up in northern New Jersey, which is like, you know, we can walk to New York if we wanted to, you know, from where we're at. 10-minute bus ride, I'm in New York. So my first introduction to hip hop was New York for sure, even though I lived in Jersey, because we live right there. A lot of people who don't, or from the West Coast or other countries, they don't understand how close everything is in that area. You know, like my parents were originally from New York. You know, my dad was from the Bronx, my mom's from Brooklyn. When they met, whatever, boom, they had me. We moved to Jersey. Now I had, you know, family and stuff everywhere. Also, Philly is not very far from there. So most people who are from New Jersey, they either go to New York or they go to Philly. That's the next city that you would kind of visit or whatever, you know? So I would be back and forth to both, you know? I didn't officially move to Philly till I was about 19, right? And then I would say that was when I got really serious into what I was doing hip-hop wise. And then I got a very different perspective on things when I moved there. And I think normally when I say I'm from somewhere, especially when it comes down to a hip hop thing, or you know, I'm doing an interview or something, I say Philly because I dedicate, or I would, what would you say? I would give it up to Philly to say that that's where I created myself. You know what I mean? Because that city really did it for me. You know, once I found that place, I found myself, and then I also kind of developed most of the way that I do things from that place. So a lot of my influences originally from New York, and then all of a sudden have a Philly kind of twist to it.
Do you have any specific examples of like what is, like I don't know much about Philadelphia, so I still can't really like picture that.
If most people don't know, I like to dabble in all elements of stuff, right? The first thing that was really attractive to me was graffiti or writing in Philly, because after learning things and hearing things, people were saying graffiti started there, and I was like, really? I needed to do that my own research to figure that one out, because I was like, I thought hip hop was New York, boom, period, dot, you know? A lot of heavy writers, people who are into writing, know that there is that debate of did it start in Philly, did it start in New York? With a guy named Cornbread in Philly who was writing in the 60s. I met the guy. I actually saw him walking down Broad Street, and I asked to talk to him. And I got an interview with him on my computer, and he actually wrote his name in my house. You know, my man Brett too was down rock. Brett Cypher was my roommate at the time. He was really heavy too, into hip hop, and we were like the dynamic duo together. He also aided like real heavy with getting him to the house. I mean, he's the one that really got Cornbread to the crib. Like I was like, whoa, you got Cornbread to the crib? That's crazy, you know. And you know, and he conducted the whole interview, and I was like, wow. Like, and we were sitting there asking questions, and he had a manila folder kind of thing with pictures and newspaper clippings of things that he did in the 60s. So it's undeniable, his history. So I was like, dang, which blew my mind, you know. And then talking to other Philly writers and people who have like really explained the whole idea of what writing was in Philly. It's heavy, it's deep, it's different. It's different. Learning also now writing from people in New York. Like one of the first people I met who were like official writers was Kel First. Kel First was a guy that I actually started working with because I did design. I was helping him with his website called voiceoftheghetto.com. And I met Kel First, and Kel was just like, you know, one of the graffiti gods, you know. That's Mayor's brother, you know. It's just like the whole CIA crew, and this, like, I started just getting my history on with the writing and this and that, you know. So that was dope. That's an experience I can tell you. Now I can go way in depth with a lot of stuff, but I'm just kind of keeping it general. DJing in Philly, man. My first real introduction to music was Legs. Well, no, sorry. My mom was my first introduction to music because she's the one who was just dancing in the living room and playing disco. She was a disco queen, you know what I mean? She loved disco. So there was a lot of music I just knew already. When I met Legs, he's a heavy disco head, you know. Now people don't know that, but if you heard him spin, he likes playing disco. He's like, oh, I know this song. And like when we first met, and he was like, how you know? I'm like, I know. So that was interesting. That's kind of like how we got to know each other, you know, in a way. Where was I going with this? Anyway, DJing was something that I was really interested in. So because I kept a lot of my mom's records. I actually stole some of them that I shouldn't have. You know, and I started, when I gained money, like a lot of people were, like I was into comic books when I was younger, you know, so when I used to get money, that was the first thing I would buy. I would like not eat lunch just to have lunch money to buy a comic book, you know. After I got into hip hop, everything changed. I started buying records. And then getting to Philly was like, damn, like, and I started meeting people, and it's so weird, like the people that I met are like so influential to the hip hop scene that it's just like it became like I was really realizing, like, wow, I'm meeting this person and this person and this person, and having conversations with them, and then meeting them personally and being in a personal relationship with them totally gave me a crazy education, you know. So there's a lot of stuff I know from them, you know. I learned from them. Cash Money was a person that I learned from. Hearing about his stories and what he did DJ-wise was crazy to me, you know. And if you can understand the way that I approached my dance, it was a lot of the reasons of how DJs in Philly approached their dance, the way they spun. The way MCs approached the way they would rhyme in Philly is the way I kind of put my emotion into my rock, you know what I'm saying? So that it's the emotional content is what I really got out of Philly, because Philly's very soulful as a place, you know what I mean? Everything they do is for a meaning. It's like way deeper, and that has been from day one, because, you know, you had Motown was one of the biggest labels, but that's Detroit, and then Philly had Gamble and Huff Records, or you know the Sound of Philadelphia, Philly International Records, and they put out most of the soulful music that you know of today. You know, so that area is just known for that feeling, and you won't really understand it unless you're there and you were in it. Nowadays, it's there, but it's not as heavy as it used to be, you know? And it's funny because even in my era of being there was an era before me that they'll tell me the same thing. Oh, you don't even know. We were like doing this in the 70s. You don't even know. You know what I'm saying? It always goes like that. But, so I got my crazy education on music being there, and like going through records. There was Armand's, there was Sound of Market, there was Funko Mart, you know. There was, what's the name of the other place, on South Street. There's plenty of record stores at that time. 2 or 3 of them closed down since I've been there, you know, because of the whole Serato thing messed a lot of things up. But there was a guy named DJ Randy Flash that used to work at Sound of Market. I just kind of Instagrammed this a little while ago. because I thought I had a dream about him one day. I was like, man, Randy, that was crazy. He got shot at a party, in a house party. Some like young kids came to the door. They answered it. You know, they went to answer the door in his house party. They're like, we don't know you guys. Why are you coming? Like, oh, we heard music, whatever. And they told him, you know, we're not comfortable with you coming in our house. They closed the door on him. Next thing you know, fires, shot, boom, bah, 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 bah. Randy got hit in the neck while he was DJing the party and he died. But, you know, this guy was, he was a house DJ. You know, he loved house music. And the thing was, like, I would come to him with, like, audio clips of Cold Crush tapes, because my introduction to hip hop was a lot of Cold Crush from Legs, because Legs used to love Cold Crush and he played me Cold Crush tapes. And then one of the first people I met was Grandmaster Caz, and I'm like, that's the dude from the tapes. Ah! Like, I was like starstruck, you know. But they used to rhyme over a lot of breaks and just soulful songs that I was always like, and Caz used to be on there and actually create his own lyrics still out of the song. So he'd be rhyming over what people were singing, but he would say it like differently and make it his own thing, which I thought was so ill. But then I would come with the tape and be like, yo, Randy, what's this? And I mean, no more than like 4 seconds. Oh, okay, boom. Come with me. Boom, we go to the funk section or whatever. That's that record. You know? And then he'll give me what he knows about it. Yo, this guy's ill, and you should check it out. And this band is this and that. And you know that guy used to play with this band, and boom, 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 and just give it to me. I'm like, and I'm standing like, wow. And then I buy it and I go home and I play it. I say, damn, man, that's the song, you know. And then I started getting real knowledge of like the full track, because there's times you would hear like when they would spin breaks, it'd just be the breaks, and now I hear in the full song. I'm like, man, that's crazy. And like, oh, it's like all these things. I would take them even back. I had a Battle of the Year audio clip, and I was like, yo, you know what song this is? You know? Like, yeah, come on, I got that one. Like,
I got you.
Like, he just knew so much. Like, these guys are like, when you're a DJ like that and you're heavy into that thing, I mean, you got years of experience of listening to records. And the thing is that about a record, like when you have it and you hold it and you paid it with your own money, like you actually listen to that record, you know, and it means a lot more to have it. So like, you'll never forget it. My moments of meeting Scheme was crazy too. And that was an interesting thing when we met, because, you know, Scheme's been spinning since I was alive, you know, like almost the same exact time we've been alive.
How old is he?
We don't talk about his age.
Okay. He doesn't look that old.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in great shape. I don't know how. He eats cheeseburgers all the time. But, you know, so.
Not a good role model.
Yeah, help. They say as I eat the vegan chili. Interesting moment with us, because he was like kind of taken back by my knowledge of music and stuff, and you know, and I was with him as well, because he had stuff that I haven't heard. So dope moment, you know. We became really tight over this whole hip hop thing, so that was cool. But I mean, I can keep going, but that's like main stuff. Dance wise, even I can bring it back to Philly again. Philly had a very heavy tap scene in the 70s, right? In the 80s, it bled into hip hop. Obviously, hip hop was heavy also in Philly. But they were doing a thing called soul stepping, or the GQ they called it, right? The GQ or soul stepping is it's a hype way of doing like cha-cha and hustle and stuff like that to funk music. So Rennie Harris was the first person I seen, you know, do it in front of me, and I was like, what is that? I need to know what that is. And what a lot of people don't know is a lot of the steps that I do in Top Rock come from that dance, you know. And then also my just constant education and building with my boy, Mr. Wiggles, you know, who's been like mentor and brother to me for years too, you know. And I met him around the same time I met Legs.
Is he in Philly too?
Wiggles, no, that was New York. But we all kept in contact, you know. Like even when I went to school, I lost touch with a lot of people, but then they came back. They would come to Philly at times, so I would see them, you know. And when I saw Legs again in like 2003 or something like that, we started connecting again, you know. So in a way, I kind of moved away from the scene even to go to school. And then when I graduated, I seen Legs at a jam. Next thing you know, again, boom, we're back at it. You know, it's crazy. And he's like, "Oh man, what are you doing?" Yeah. You know. And when I first met him, I was a kid, man. So it was weird.
You're from Philly, so why didn't you join up with like a Philly crew? And how come you're part of Rocksteady group?
Yeah, that was the thing, because they were my first people, you know. And I kind of had a few, you know, riffs with people in Philly about that as well, you know. And then it's funny because then I also get riffs from people in Jersey because I say Philly when I rap. It's like, oh, you know, there's all these, ugh. But this is my personal experience. It's not for them to tell my story, you know. And only some of the people in Philly knew that I had ties with Rocksteady from my beginnings, you know what I mean? So, and even before them, I had a crew called Rock with Finesse. That was a Jersey crew, you know, and I met Legs like shortly after I was already down with Rock with Finesse, which is why I didn't get in Rocksteady until 2005, because I was dedicated to them, but they knew I was rolling with Legs all the time after a while, and they were so dope. They were like, oh man, yeah, that's dope, why not, dang, woo, you the man. Like, they were excited for me, and that's why I'll never forget them. They were really dope, you know, they were really dope. But yeah, I got my beginnings was straight them, and Legs has always been in my life, man. Since that day, he's been in my life always.
Wow, that's crazy. I can't imagine, like, that's one of the first B-boys you just chill with is like,
well, he ain't the first, but he's a pioneer for sure, you know. They were watching B-boys before them. If anything, Legs, Kenny, those guys are second generation.
Who would be like first generation?
Oh man, yeah, like a Spy, like, you know, Beaver, you know, these names that you've probably heard before.
The Twins. Yeah.
The Twins was most considered the first, you know. You can even throw like Grammix of DST in there, Pee Wee Dance, and you know, plenty of dudes were rocking. Sweet. But I'll give you another thing, right? I kind of lost my train of thought in the mid. Now it's coming back to me, but you know, Philly DJs really came up with this concept called the rhythm scratch. You know, scratch was created by Graham was Theodore in New York. He's the man who created the scratch. After the scratch hit, it started really getting put out there. Philly now, you have Jazzy Jeff, you have Cash Money. Now this is debatable between these two guys because they both kind of fight over who created another scratch. Before I get to that one, let me talk about rhythm scratching. Rhythm scratching was basically scratching on beat. You know, so
that seems like a pretty basic concept.
Right, but also in BBoying, is that such a basic concept? See what I'm saying? So I took the idea of like, oh, so there's a beat here. Oh, okay, so we got, because a lot of the Philly, you know, DJs were musicians. They were multi-talented. You know what I'm saying? Multi-talented dudes. So they had a perspective on the tables which was different. You know. So I took that idea like, oh wow, okay, so there's rhythm, like, so we gotta do this rhythmically. There's all these sounds in these songs, we gotta do it like. So a lot of my ideas come from concepts of DJing, you know, as well. I'm not the best DJ, but it's like I've learned these things, so they influence the way I dance, you know. What I was gonna get at before, the Transformer scratch is always the argument to say who started it first. You guys know what the Transformer scratch is? Transformer scratch is, you know, the sound the Transformer makes when it transforms. Which is basically, if you take the fader and do this, it goes, it sounds like a Transformer. So that's why they call it the Transformer scratch. But like, man, it's just stuff, man, like all these things just thrown into the pot, which is like for a while, I was trying to figure out what were these things like that I was seeing, like, because a lot of times you don't think about it, it just kind of happened, and it's like later on you go, oh yeah, I think that was a big part of why I do this. You know, if you analyze yourself, then you go back and you go, oh, maybe it was this that made me think that or that, you know. So, you know, I actually have a lot of time to reflect when I'm flying, like real far, and you know, I sit down and think about these things.
Yeah, I heard you got a saxophone.
Yeah, I used to play. Before I got into hip hop, I was playing jazz. Jazz was my thing. Played tenor saxophone. I first played clarinet, then I played tenor saxophone.
Now you get back into it again?
Yeah. Everything in due time, you know. I take my time with that stuff because honestly, I don't. There's a lot of things that I have. When I was a kid, I did everything, man. I really wish my mom can come and talk too, because she'll tell you I never seen him. He was just in the basement. I don't know what the hell he was doing down there. That's what she would say. He was in the basement. I don't know what he was doing. And I would just hear the song over and over again.
Same song over and over again.
Experimenting, man. Experimenting.
I was down there drawing and dancing, and I was doing everything I could. I was fighting the rhyme. I was just trying to be
That was your lab.
everything. Yeah, I was labbing, which is why I could, you know, I need that time for myself. Until this day, I still lab, you know.
Fresh.
And my lab is not just, oh, let me go practice this move. It's like, I might be over here working on a beat. In the middle of working on the beat, I get excited, I go do a fucking move. And then I'll come back and then I'm sketching while I'm listening to the beat. Like, you know what I mean? It's like all around hip hop. Like, I just need to be creating all the time something. And it's like, and I get feelings at times for different things. So it's like, sometimes I'm heavy breaking, you know? There's times that I've been to competitions judging and or battling and I haven't danced in months, you know, where I'm like, I just wasn't breaking this time. Sorry guys, I was working on something else, you know what I mean? It's like, because it works in phases, and when I feel it, I go towards it heavy, you know? And I'm with that with other dances too. Like, I love locking, and it's like, there's times I'll just be locking, you know? Or I want to try and do some house, I want to pop. It's like so many things I want to do, but it's like, I've learned now to like learn how to channel that energy, you know, that I'm not like just a complete hermit, you know what I'm saying, that no one ever sees me and I'm just in there learning all this stuff. I gotta come out and relax and learn how to just be a person, you know. So I'm getting to that level now.
I think it'd be cool to like record you in a lab session.
Oh, that'd be
It'd be kind of funny looking, bro.
Maybe.
Yo, before
It's like
we go,
ADD.
yo, before we go, I just want to say something really quick. When you go digging, like, is there a particular artist you're always looking for, or genre of music that helps you, or that attracts you to it? Someone or something?
Depends what I'm digging for sometimes. Sometimes I go in with an idea. You know, if I'm working on a certain beat or something and I know there's a sample of somebody I want, I'll go look for that artist. Or there's a certain sound that I want, I'll go look for that genre, you know. When I'm just, you know, freestyling it and just doing whatever, I go in there and just I'll pick something random. I'll just grab a few, you know.
Do you prefer, well, I'm assuming, well, from what I've watched online, I know you prefer more of the old compared to nowadays modern rap,
Yeah.
hip hop. You have more older generation music. Do you still do the same? Or do you mix
Well,
up
it's a
bit
lot
more?
because of I don't always come from a dancer's perspective. If I'm gonna make a beat, I'm not gonna resample a hip hop beat to make a beat. Which is why a lot of people got mad at that clip, and I keep telling them, y'all just don't understand. That's all it is. I was not dissing hip hop. Nobody was dissing hip hop, you know. But I won't resample a hip hop. Like, it just doesn't make sense. A sample of a sample in a sample, it doesn't make sense. So I go and look for an original. You know what I'm saying?
Inception.
Exactly, that's what it is. And I feel like a complete idiot by resampling a sample that's already been sampled.
I'll send it to you. I have it too.
Yeah.
I'll send the link to it.
But that's the reason why I said that, and that kind of thing. When I go, you know, to look for records, it's the same.
Okay.
It's I go in with a different intention every time. Sometimes I go in as a dancer and I'm like, I want some
That makes
new
sense, though.
funk or soul, and sometimes even while I'm searching for something, I'll find something that has to do with something else I was working on and go, oh, that would be good for whatever that project or whatever. I have projects, and